Hey guys, I'm George, the nice smelling gentleman. It's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content, and today I'll be reviewing three very nice smelling and very long lasting fragrances from Paris Corner and from Armaf. The three fragrances featured in today's video are from Paris Corner, Nordstock, Hypnotic Oud Queens, from Armaf, Club de Nuit Precious and Club de Nuit Lionheart. And the first fragrance that I'm going to talk about will be the one from the brand of Paris Corner, which is called Hypnotic Oud, Nordstock Hypnotic Oud. Now, all three fragrances are clones, and the first one, this one from Paris Corner, is supposedly a clone of the Maidan's Spirit of Dubai. I've never tried the original fragrance. I've said this a few times that I've already talked about the Hypnotic Oud. But this also reminds me of a few different fragrances. I'm going to tell you which ones those are in a minute. I'm going to show you the spray in action, and then I'll talk about the scent. As I said, the original fragrance that this is supposedly being inspired by, I've never tried. First of all, though, the sprayer, which is pressurized, and that's really nice, has great distribution. And the scent itself, to my nose, this smells really nice. Keep in mind though that this is the most challenging fragrance featured in today's video. It probably won't be up to everybody's liking, but I really like this one. It opens up very oody. There's some agar oud in here, a bit of sandal oud. The agar oud doesn't feel animalic or anything like that. It's a bit challenging, but still not the most animalic feeling agar oud note that you can run into. It's heavy on the saffron note. There's a bit of a greenness in the opening of this one. It feels a little bit sweet when you first spray it for the first time. Just a hint of freshness. But to my nose, the end also has a strong leather note, which is actually very strong from the opening to the late dry down. The opening to my nose is dominated by those woodsy notes, the agar oud note, the leather, with the spiciness and just a hint of freshness and sweetness. When this goes into its dry down, the more this dries down, the more woodier it becomes. It becomes a little bit sweeter on its dry down, and the leather note stays very prominent again from the opening to the dry down. It's a very masculine fragrance that definitely smells very classy. It smells very dressed up, very elegant, but again, keep in mind that this can be a bit challenging for some people. You have to make sure that you need you really like the notes of agar oud, the woody based fragrances in general, and you also really like the note of leather. If you don't, then you probably won't enjoy this one, but I personally like it a lot, and it was quite a pleasant surprise. Performance wise, when I initially got this about a month and a half ago and I did my first impression video, this was a good performer right out of the box, but with a bit of time, probably about a month of maceration and just sitting on my shelves, this became quite strong. Now it's not super beastly, but definitely nowadays I get over 9, maybe even over 10 hours of performance, which in my books is a very strong fragrance. And also this tends to project really nicely in the first up to about 2 hours. So performance wise, absolutely no issues, a very strong scent. Now price wise, this can vary wildly depending on where you get your fragrances from, but personally I paid around about 30 euros I think to get it, which is slightly more expensive than some other clone scents, but definitely because of the very elegant and unique scent profile, and because the good quality and because of the great performance, I think at that price point it's worth it, as long as you like woody, leathery based fragrances. And versatility wise, definitely this is a masculine fragrance that's strictly orientated towards the colder months of the year. And now let's move on to the two Armaf fragrances. I'll start with the one that has been around for quite a while at this point in time, and it's called Club de Nuit Precious. This is a clone or something that's heavily inspired by Creed Aventus Absolute. As I said, Club de Nuit Precious is a clone of Creed Aventus Absolute, but it's not a one-to-one clone. The sprayer in action, it's a good sprayer. Again, I really hate this metal thing that hangs around. It makes unnecessary noise whenever you're touching or moving the bottle. And this smells very nice. Now, if you have never smelled Creed Aventus Absolute, it's basically a sweeter take on the OG Creed Aventus DNA. But even if you have smelled only the OG Creed Aventus, you'll immediately recognize that the Club de Nuit Precious is inspired by this original line of fragrances. It opens up fresh, but unlike Creed Aventus, there isn't much smokiness or birchiness with Club de Nuit Precious. This has more sweetness and less freshness in the opening. There's more of that pineapple note. It has a bit more sweet notes like the note of caramel, vanilla, amber. Just think of it, a hint of some spices, maybe still a hint of some freshness and greenness, but definitely this is the opening here is more about the sweetness rather than the freshness of the OG Creed Aventus. The more this dries down, the more oudi it becomes. It remains a sweeter take on the OG Creed Aventus DNA. You still get a bit of that oak moss like you get with the original one, maybe a hint of leather, but still this just remains less fresh, less smoky, less birchy fragrance compared to OG Creed Aventus. This just feels sweeter all around, and that's probably the main way that this is different. But it's a very, very nice scent, and to me this smells of the highest quality member of the Club de Nuit line. Now I've not tried the latest releases in that Club de Nuit line. You know, you get the extrait version and a few different special versions that I have not yet tried, but from everything else that is part of the Club de Nuit line, definitely Precious feels of the highest quality. Now when you initially spray this one in, and in the first few seconds you'll still pick up a bit of syntheticness, but it's probably the most balanced and the most refined version of a Club de Nuit that you can try. Performance wise, a very good, very long lasting fragrance. It's definitely on my skin lasts for over 8-9, maybe even touching the 10-hour mark. So performance wise, absolutely no issues. Projects nicely for the first about 2 hours. It's a, you know, it's a strong performing scent. Price wise, this is a little bit more expensive, although nowadays the prices have settled, and around at least where I live this can be found nowadays for something like 45 to 50 euros, which is still a little bit more on the pricey side considering that this is only 55 milliliters in bottle size. But I think in a way it's worth it because of the good quality, because of the performance, because of the likable and versatile scent profile, and also because this is a compliment magnet. And versatility wise, I already told you, this is a super versatile masculine fragrance. And let's talk about the second Armaf featured in today's video, which is one of the recent releases from the brand of Armaf. It's called Club de Nuit Lionheart, and this one is a clone of Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Male Elixir. And it's been hyped up as being a very good clone, and I can definitely confirm that this is one of the best clones of Le Male Elixir that you can get. Let's check out the sprayer, and then I'm going to tell you how this smells and how it's different to my nose to the original fragrance. The sprayer here is a little bit on the weak side, probably that's the weakest sprayer featured in today's video. But again, that might not be a bad thing necessarily, because this is quite a strong fragrance that has a very intense opening. Now the opening is very similar to the original fragrance from Jean-Paul Gaultier. It opens up with a blast of the sweetness. There's some vanillic sweetness, there's some honey sweetness with this fragrance, just a hint of mint and lavender, which try not doing their best, but still they try to balance out a little bit of the sweetness, of that intense sweetness in the opening of this one. There's also some cardamom, and probably that's one of the ways that this to my nose feels a little bit different to the original one. This feels like it's a little bit more spicy in the opening, and you also get immediately the tobacco as well. Keep in mind that this is not a very complex scent profile, neither with the original or with the good clones of Le Male Elixir. The way that this changes is that after a few minutes pass, you start to lose that hint of freshness from the mint in the opening. You start to lose some of that spiciness from the opening, and also some of that aromaticness that comes from the lavender. And basically the dry down becomes a mix of the sweet notes, the honey, the vanilla, maybe some ambery sweetness, some tonka bean, and the strong and quite thick and heavy tobacco note. It's a nice smelling fragrance as long as you like the DNA of the Club de Nuit, of the Le Male line, excuse me, from Jean-Paul Gaultier. As long as you like sweet fragrances, as long as you like the note of tobacco, you'll like this one as well. It's a very, very nice fragrance. There's no harshness or anything like that in the opening. To my nose, this feels again just a slightly darker take on the original scent, lacks a bit of that hint of more freshness that you get out of the original fragrance scent. This also feels a little bit more spicy than the original one, but other than that, smelling very similar, especially in the air. Performance wise, strong fragrance, very strong fragrance, easily lasts 8, 9, 10 hours on my skin without any problem, projects really nicely in the first 2 hours. Probably projection wise it's very similar to the original, which has always been pretty beastly on my skin, and this rivals the original scent when it comes to performance. Price wise, again, a little bit more expensive than just like some of the more recent releases from the brand of Armaf. I personally paid around about 40 euros to get this one, but I think it's worth it as long as you like the original scent. And versatility wise, it's yet another masculine fragrance that definitely is better suited for the colder months of the year, and especially for the nighttime. So guys, this was all that I had for you today. Today I reviewed 3 fragrances, 3 very long lasting and very nice smelling fragrances from Armaf and from Paris Corner. I hope that you found this video interesting or helpful. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.